Page 91. Possessive adjective. You already know what adjectives are. They're the ones that describe the nouns. So they're the ones that answer, you know, which one or what kind. It's just checking. Did she text me? Oh, no. Okay. Which one, what kind, how many, or whose? That's what we usually ask when we're looking for an adjective in the sentence. It says here, when a noun is followed by an apostrophe S, it functions as a possessive adjective and it shows ownership. It answers the question whose. Look at this example right here. Timmy answered Johnny's question. And notice that Johnny's right here has an apostrophe. That means the question is Johnny's question. It belongs to Johnny. So when you're asking whose question, you can say, well, it's Johnny's question. So that means it's possessive because it has an apostrophe S. It means it belongs to Johnny. The noun Johnny is followed by apostrophe S because Johnny's functions as a possessive adjective. We call it an adjective, not a noun. Whose question? Johnny's question. Okay, without the apostrophe, the noun would be plural. So if there was more than one Johnny, if there are not several Johnnies, that's plural. Johnnies with an S is plural. Okay, so when you're looking for it, you're going to first find the noun. And then that shows ownership or possession, and they'll end with an S and answer the question whose. You're going to place an apostrophe before the S to show that the noun is functioning as a possessive adjective. And you're just going to still write ADJ. That's what you've been doing for adjectives. You're going to keep doing that. But now you're going to notice some of them are going to have the apostrophe S, like this example here. The mice feared the cat's claws. The noun is claws, and so you can ask yourself, whose claws? And then you can go back and see, oh, it's the cat's claws. Because it has that apostrophe S, that's a possessive adjective. So you're going to start marking these now with ADJ for adjective, okay? And then down here under think about it, it says many words can be used as different parts of speech. However, a word can perform only one part of speech at a time. You've heard that before. So here's two examples. A plural noun, the maids stood in the kitchen. So here we have maids with an S, but no apostrophe. So that means there's more than one, it's plural. But look at this next example here. The mice were scared of the maid's broom. This one's different because it has an apostrophe, so that changes it. The broom belongs to the maid's broom. Any questions about this page? You can shake your head no if you don't have any questions. Okay, good. Let's go to the practice. And Harmony, could you read our sentence today, please?
During warm weather, I like to work in the farmer's garden, Timmy explained.
Nice, good job. Explained is our vocabulary word today. And it just means to make clear or make someone understand something. Like when I'm explaining what something is, I'm telling you what it is, I'm explaining it. So it's making it more plain or clear. So we got that. That's the vocabulary. Let me lighten this up a little bit here. And then the articles, you already know these, and there's only one. So go ahead and find it and put AR. And then Christian, what about the nouns? There's 3 nouns.
Weather,
Good.
Timmy, and garden.
Good. Weather, garden, and Timmy. And there is a pronoun in here. Do you see the pronoun, Harmony? There's one pronoun. It's one that we don't see very
I.
often. Yes, there you go. Good job. The I is the pronoun. Talking about yourself, huh? Well, whoever's speaking, in this case, it's Timmy. How about Christian? What about the adjectives?
Farmers and warm.
Yes, good. So the thing about farmers right here, though, we need to do something with it. Do you know what it's missing?
An apostrophe.
Yes, so it really should have, let's just draw one in right here between the R and the S, because you're right. It is an adjective and it is telling whose garden. So we need that apostrophe. Otherwise, it looks like it's a plural word, like there's more than one or there's more than one farmer if it didn't have the apostrophe. Okay, good. And then we're going to come back to prepositional phrases. So let's skip that for a second. So Harmony, what about the verbs? Let's start there. What kind of verbs do you see in this sentence?
Work. Like.
Good.
Yes. Okay. So I heard you say work, and you're right. Like is a verb. This word is tricky because sometimes work is a verb, but since it has that word to in front of it, to work makes it an infinitive. So that's different than a verb. So whenever you see to next to it, it's actually not going to be a verb. So that was a good guess though. So like is one, there's one more.
What's the other one? The other verb is.
Explained.
There you go. Good. Explained is a verb. Good. Those are the two verbs. So Christian, how about the subjects that go with those verbs?
It's I
Good.
and I'm gonna check back on my thing. It's around here somewhere. Here it is.
I can give you a little clue if you need it.
Timmy.
Yes, there you go. I was going to say who explained. You're right, Timmy. So I is a subject here and Timmy is a subject here. So we got the subject verb pairs. Now to the prepositional phrases. So it's not going to be to work. That's a separate, that's an infinitive. So what do you think, Harmony? Where are the prepositional phrases?
Tell the preposition phrases.
During.
Read it, the whole thing.
Okay.
During warm weather.
Good, yes. And
Farmer's
during is a preposition.
Garden.
Oh, and you said the other one, in the farmer's garden. Good. Yep, those are the two phrases. Good job, Harmony. It stops on a noun. Okay. 3 capitals, Christian.
There's during
Good.
I and Timmy.
I and Timmy. Good. And then what do we need to put at the end, Harmony?
Goes here.
Period.
Good. Period. And then we already fixed the apostrophe. So we're done. Good job. Skip prepositional phrases. If you get stuck on that one, just skip it and come back and then you'll see it. But remember, whenever you see the word to work next to a verb, it's called an infinitive. And we'll talk more about that as we get further in this book, but just know that that changes work. It's no longer labeled a verb anymore. So, okay. Let's put that away and get out your binders next. You guys were working on a report about a guy named Louis Pasteur. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
French guy, French scientist. So let's get that out.
I already
And-
started on the next week.
I saw that you turned in your paragraph, Christian. Do you mind if I share that with the class and we can talk about your paragraph? Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you did a good job. Did you see my notes on it?
No.
Not yet. That's okay.
Yeah.
I just saw it this morning, so I thought you did a great job starting your report here. So I'll share this since he's totally up for me sharing it. It was just the first paragraph, so you did great with setting it up. You got your name and date in the right spot, and you got double space, and that's good. And then right away, I saw words underlined. Those are your dress ups. You did a fantastic job with those. And then I did see some highlights. Now I know you were doing the topic clinchers right there. That's what I want to talk about, because the topic clincher thing is still kind of new to you guys. So we're going to practice that a little bit more today before we go into the second paragraph of this report. So I'm going to go ahead. Well, let me ask you this, Christian. Do you want to read it or do you want me to read it?
You can read it.
Okay. Louis Pasteur was an important 19th century scientist. He was born in 1822 in France. He loved fishing, painting, and drawing because he wanted to be an artist. Unfortunately, that was a perfect ly adverb right there. Unfortunately, his father remarked, becoming an artist won't make enough money to support a family. Then Louis, no, what did I say?
It's Louis.
Louis decided to study chemistry and philosophy. Louis married and had 5 children, but of which 3 died of typhoid. Super sad about his life, but that's true. That was part of it. So this part, before I go into the topic clincher, right here, I think I mentioned it in my comments on the side, but of which, I know what you're trying to say here, Christian, that it's a little choppy right there. So I think maybe let's brainstorm for a minute on another way that you can say that. I know you're trying to find a spot for the word which, because you need to include that. So, I'm thinking maybe we can fix that. Maybe there's a better spot. We could put which, like, maybe right here. Right where it says, then Louis decided to study chemistry and philosophy, which are 2 sciences, because those both, chemistry is a science and so is philosophy, it's a science.
I'm not sure science sciences is a word. though.
Sciences, it is, because it's there's more than one science. When you go to college or even high school, you'll have different sciences to choose from. Sounds weird. But like when you start your freshman year, it'll be biology, and then your sophomore year, you'll go into chemistry. You learn different sciences as you go. That's an idea, but what I want you to do is think about it, and later, Christian, I want you to find a different spot for which. Because when you say but of which, it's a little choppy right there. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
Well,
3 died of typhoid was kind of my mom's idea.
yeah, I think you still need that. You can say, but 3 died of typhoid. You would just take out of which. You would just take that part out. And then find a different spot in your paragraph. Or here's another thing, you guys. I wanted to make sure to point out to both of you. If you just can't find a spot for one of your dress up words, you can add an extra sentence. It doesn't have to be limited to your numbers on your outline. Okay. You can add if you need to, just to get all of your dress ups in there. That's okay to do that.
Yeah, I think I've done that before.
Okay, that's okay. So that's an option for you, but I'm going to let you figure that out later because this week you guys are going to write the second paragraph so you can fix this first one. When you submit your second one, then you can fix it then, okay? But I wanted to talk really about this topic clincher. Now I noticed you have Louis here and Louis here. That's perfect. That's a keyword and those repeat. And that's one of the rules with the topic clincher, right? You guys remember how it goes? See if you can do it with me. The topic sentence and the clincher sentence must, remember that part? Repeat or reflect 2 or 3 key words. Okay, so that's the rule. And you've got 1 here. But the second one you highlighted was 19 and then 5. And I totally get why you highlighted those because they're both numbers. But they don't really repeat or reflect. I can't really count a number.
Numbers
So,
kind of reflect because they're like the
kind
same.
of, but not, they're not really words. I mean, I know you've got 5 written out as a word, but it's not, I can't really count that as a keyword. Okay, Christian, but I have an idea for you. Because what you could do is put his last name, Pasteur. You can put it after Louis here. And then you've got your 2, because in a name, even though sometimes on our keyword outline, we count a name as 1, in your writing, you can count it as 2. So that would be 2 to 3 key words that would work. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so later you can fix that. But I wanted Harmony to see it. I know, Harmony, you do a lot of work. I haven't seen some of your work yet, but I know you're working on it with your mom and your dad. So just keep this in mind when you're doing your topic clincher. Highlight those words that repeat or reflect, and they're going to be in each paragraph. That's going to give your writing more style. Okay, that's what we're after in this class, is really getting your writing good. Thank you. Have more style. Okay, so I'm going to stop that share. And now I'm going to actually share an example from the curriculum from a different student. And I wanted to just show it to you so you can see how they wrote, whoops, oh, there we go. Okay. How they wrote their research paper about, or it's like a report really, about Louis Pasteur. I thought it was only 2 paragraphs. Let me double check here. Oh, it is 3. So this week you're gonna work on paragraphs 2 and 3. Sorry about that. Okay. So here, just looking at this first paragraph, I'm gonna ask Christian, do you see the bold words in there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell us, those are the topic clinchers. So looking at the first paragraph, Christian, tell us what the topic clinchers words are.
Early life, interesting and riveting.
Riveting. Uh-huh. So they have 3 because it can be 2 or 3 key words. This student, Anna, has 3. Now she used early, life, and then she used interesting and then riveting. That's a great word. So if you like this word interesting and you look it up on Google, what's another word for interesting? You'll see one of the listed words there is riveting. So that'll help you come up with some good synonyms. Remember, synonyms are the ones that reflect. They're not the same word, but they mean almost the same thing. How about Harmony? Look at the second paragraph here. What words do you see that are the topic clincher words in the second paragraph?
Your rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Presentation.
Good. And then for the clincher?
Master. Orientation. Fascination.
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 There you go. So she repeated all three of the words in that paragraph. Good, Harmony. So see how they're in the first sentence and the last sentence. Notice she didn't bold words like was or and. Those are not keywords. Remember, you're looking for those important words of the sentence. And then back to this third paragraph, back to Christian, what are the topic clincher words in the third paragraph?
Popular, famous, pasteurization, pasteuris.
Oh yeah, you kind of jump back and forth. That's fine. So pasture and pasture, pasteurization and pasteurization, but then they have famous and popular. That's reflecting. Those are almost the same thing, but different words. So this is how your paragraph should look. Now you can highlight. I know that's what you did, Christian. You used a yellow highlighter on the document, and that's fine. This person, Anna, bolded. So you can either highlight or bold when you're using the computer. Okay. And if you're handwriting it, I know Harmony likes to handwrite hers. You can use a real highlighter or you can put a box around those words, but don't just underline them because then it'll look like a dress up word. Only the dress ups are underlined. You guys have any questions about this? You're good? Okay. All right, then let's look at our keyword outline that we started last week. It should be in the front pocket of your binders. Let's get that out. Talking about week 9 here. I want to make sure I get the right one out here. I think it's this one. I gotta just check. Okay, yeah, it is. We have some notes. We talked about summarizing a reference on there. And this is what your note page should look like. Remember how we talked about sum, like SUM makes us think of the total, like in math, but really we're talking about part or some part of the information. We're talking about Louis Pasteur, that's our subject. And then we've got some possible topics here because we read the article. Did we get to finish reading it? I can't remember. Did we finish reading the article? Because in one of my classes, we didn't have time. So I can't remember. I don't know, but I'm gonna read the rest of it. I can't remember. I know we talked about early life fermentation and pasteurization, but he also had a big influence on vaccinations. So that I don't think we read that part yet. So we did early life. That was this Roman numeral here. We're gonna work on Roman numeral 2 and 3 today. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish getting our outline set up here. So skip a line under 5, and then let's do Roman numeral 2, and then 1 through 5. And I don't know about you, but I'm running out of space. So I'm going to do Roman numeral 3 on the back of this page. So after you write down Roman numeral 2 and then 1 through 5, then I want you to turn your page over and do Roman numeral 3 and 1 through 5.
I have lots of space on mine.
If you have space, you can keep it on the front. Okay, give me a thumbs up when you're all set. Okay, thank you. Okay, good. So let's look at your article. And remember, we wrote in the margin, you should have some notes in the margin. Did you write over here about, did you put early life on the margin? Okay, good. And then here you wrote fermentation on yours in the next paragraph. Good. Fermentation, just to remind you a little bit, because I know it's been a week since you guys read this, but we remember his children, 3 of his children died from typhoid. And then we looked up typhoid, and typhoid means what is the word I'm trying to think of? Oh, salmonella. It's like salmonella, which is a poisoning that you can get from food that has become bad or moldy or rotten. Remember, this was in the 1800s. They didn't have fancy refrigerators and freezers like we do now. So keeping food fresh was difficult. And so I think in my mind, that's why he studied about food, because his children died and he didn't want any other children to die or people to die out there from this. So that's when he studied fermentation. And that has to do with bacteria. And it's a way of changing food, right? We talked about vinegar and beer and wine, and there's other drinks like kombucha or kombucha. I think I'm saying it wrong. That's a drink. I think Christian said you've tasted that before, but it's like fizzy. You know, it also, fermentation happens when you make bread and chocolate and hot sauce and all those great things. So he's discovering what happens to food here. And this paragraph, I'm on the back here, this is page 80. He's starting to talk about pasteurization, and that has to do with getting rid of the germs in food, because remember, his kids died from this typhoid, and he's learning about food here, bacteria and all that stuff. So pasteurization, they do that in milk. That's the main thing, right? Pasteurized milk means that all the germs have been taken out of the milk, so it'll last longer, so it doesn't spoil as fast. And then we moved into this one. So I don't think we've read this page, so I'm gonna, right here, this next paragraph, this is page 81. So I'm gonna start right here, where it says Pasteur also continued. And then we're going to label this paragraph what that one's about. Do you have a label on that yet in the margin? No. Okay, good. So this is where, I think this is where we left off. So make sure that you underline the information that's interesting to you, okay, or important. Just use your pen or your pencil to underline stuff. Okay. Pasteur also continued the development of vaccination, a way to fight diseases that might harm animals and people. Vaccinating is done when a small dose of a virus, like polio, for example, we don't really see that much anymore, but back in these days, polio was a disease that was contagious and killed people. Polio, for example, is given to an animal or human to build immunity against the disease. In 1798, Edward Jenner had discovered that people who had caught the disease of cowpox, generally was not fatal, seemed never to get smallpox, which often is fatal. Fatal means you die from it, right? And maybe you've heard of chicken pox before. Have you guys heard about chicken pox? Yeah. This is cowpox, another farm animal.
Chicken pox parties where people with chicken, but without chicken pox, go to people with chicken pox to get chicken pox. I don't know why they do that.
Well, I can tell you why, because when you get chicken pox, most of the time you don't get it a second time, right? You can get through it and then your body builds an immunity to it, which means you won't get it again. So that was true when I was younger, because now you can get a vaccine for chicken pox. But when I was a kid, we just had to get chickenpox. And so it was better to just get it and get over it and not have it again. So parents were like, yeah, let's have a chickenpox party. That's funny. And then once you have it, you're done with it. But smallpox, that's different. It still has the word pox in there. It's related. But smallpox was fatal, which means they died from that. So
But these days, I can't remember.
say that again.
Is smallpox around these days?
Not very often, no. It's not. Because they've built a vaccine for it now, and I think a lot of people, well, it's just not common anymore, at least in the United States. But this is like 1798, a long time ago. So I'll keep going here. Jenner developed a method of giving people cowpox virus to protect them from the dreaded smallpox disease. Because they're related. See, so if they got cowpox, then they probably weren't going to get smallpox. But if they didn't get cowpox, they might just jump right into smallpox and die. So that's what he was discovering. So vacca means cow in Latin, or vaca, I think in Spanish too. Isn't that right? You guys know Spanish? Anyway.
I think it's
I think vaca is cow in Spanish too, but it is in Latin. Okay, I'm going to keep going though. And it was Pasteur who proposed this term vaccination. That's where it comes from. Vaca or vaca. It means cow in Latin. So vaccination, that's the first part of the word, vaccination. Be used to honor Dr. Jenner's discovery. In the 1880s, Pasteur developed vaccinations for chicken, cholera, anthrax, and rabies. Those are diseases that we don't see really much of anymore, but you've probably heard rabies before. Animals, like wild animals, carry rabies, like squirrels and rodents and things like
yeah,
that.
that's how people get confused with vampires.
Oh, yeah, we're not talking about vampires, but we're talking about animals that carry rabies. So sometimes if you're bit by a wild animal, sometimes they carry rabies and you can get really sick, but
And
not so
sometimes
much
they'll
anymore.
ask you-
Huh?
Sometimes they'll ask you if you've been bitten by a vampire. People get confused about that.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're bitten by a bat and then get rabies, people think you were bit by a vampire because bats have rabies sometimes, and their sharp teeth are like a vampire's.
I know you like those sci-fi books like that. It's debatable whether vampires are real, but that's another subject for another time. So, okay. Let's see. These saved many lives and laid the foundation for the creation of many other vaccines. And vaccines, these days, I'm just going to say, I know Harmony's mom understands, but it is controversial now. But back then, when they were first discovering this actually helped save lives from these crazy diseases that were going around killing children and adults. So, but if you have any further questions about vaccines, you can always ask your parents, okay? Because they know about that stuff. So, okay, I'm going to keep going. Oh, in the margin, go ahead and write vaccines or vaccination. Let's put vaccination. That's what this paragraph is mostly about, vaccination. Okay. And then down here, fermentation, pasteurization, and vaccination, they're all shun words, are among the many things that Louis Pasteur studied and shared with the world. His innovations have saved countless lives and still help people today. And I think that's the end. Yeah, on the back of that is just his picture. He's a very serious man. I mean, he lost his kids and now he's trying to figure out how to protect people from dying. So he
looks
probably
very
had a
serious.
He's very serious. He's really serious about what he did. So this is just kind of a little wrap up here, this last paragraph, so we don't really need to label that one. But we did discover that he invented vaccinations. So on your note page here under pasteurization, let's put vaccination. Because he did figure that out, okay? This guy, smart man. So now we've got 2 more paragraphs to write, and we've got 3 more topics to choose from. We only need 2 more. So you can decide, maybe together we can decide so we can get our outline. We're going to try to finish the outline part. So all you have to do is write the paragraph. So what do you guys think? Fermentation, pasteurization, or vaccination? What do you think is interesting that we read about? Which one did you want to pick, Christian, that you think is interesting? Between fermentation, pasteurization, and vaccination, because we got to pick 2 more and we got 3 left. So what do you think?
Pasteurization.
Okay, pasteurization. We can do that as one. And then harmony. What other topic between fermentation and vaccination do you want to write about?
Vaccination.
Vaccination?
You sure? Vaccination.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Okay, so we'll do pasteurization. Let's circle that. And vaccination. Okay. So Roman numeral 2, then let's focus on pasteurization. And, you know, it did talk about that. It starts talking about pasteurization on page 80. This is, I erased mine because I use this as my master copy. So, but you should have here on page 80 at the bottom, pasteurization. So this is where that paragraph starts. So I like how the first sentence kind of tells a little bit about what pasteurization means, because it says right here, which is a way to help protect food from harmful bacteria. So I think we should mention that in Roman numeral 2, because we're introducing a new paragraph here. So let's use his initials again, LP, because we need to mention his name again there. LP, and he developed pasteurization. So let's put pasteurization here next. Pasteurization. And then it says that it helped protect food from harmful bacteria. So I think if we just put protect and then food, and then you can explain what that means as you go here. Let's zoom in a little so you can see that better. Now, that would be a good lead in to the next paragraph, because remember your topic sentence. By the way, I had a student tell me this one time. It's kind of, I don't know why I didn't think of it, but you know how you have your topic and your clincher? Your topic sentence is at the top. I'm like, that's a great way to remember that. So your topic sentence is at the top of your paragraph. And that's how you introduce your new thing that you're talking about there. So your topic here is pasteurization, and it's to protect food from bacteria. So I don't know how you would remember bacteria. I guess we could put BAC, and maybe that'll help you remember that word from bacteria. And it's always good to look back at your paragraph, like where you got the information. If you go to sit down and write your paragraph and you're like, wait, what does this mean? Check the original. Okay, checking the original is really important. That'll jar your memory. Okay. Now, Christian, let's start with you. We're on page 80 on this paragraph at the bottom. What is something else that you underlined in that paragraph that you thought was interesting here?
I forgot to underline stuff.
Oh my goodness, Christian. Well, kind of glance at it then right now. Just look at it. Is there anything that you see that's interesting
Oh yeah.
that he did?
Well, he what? Yeah, can't really find it. I wouldn't be able to find stuff unless I read the whole paragraph all over. But that would take forever. And I
You know what? Let me just, because it was last week when we read it.
don't have enough reading to do today.
Well, I'll just read it kind of quick. How about that? Then we'll get it fresh in our heads, okay? So as I read it though, underline stuff, okay, Christian?
Okay.
Okay, Pasteur's work with fermentation led to the development of pasteurization, which is a way to help protect food from harmful bacteria. Pasteurization was named after him, of course. He invented the process in the 1860s while studying germs. Observing bacteria under a microscope, he saw that they multiplied quickly in food and liquid, causing it to rot or spoil. This explained why milk and milk products go sour. Pasteur proved that by heating a liquid at high temperatures for a few minutes and then cooling it, many of the bacteria are killed. In his era, food production was not as clean and storage was not as effective as it is today. Thus, pasteurization allowed people to keep dairy products, juices, wine, vinegar, and canned foods much longer. Okay, so that is good to reread. That's, you know, the word pasteurization, that is a word that came from his last name, Pasteur. You see how it's in there? Pasteurization. So he's the one that invented that or developed that.
Mm.
It's a process. So I'm thinking, you keep looking, Christian, but I think the next thing to mention would be that he invented the process while he was studying germs. I think that's kind of important to note in our paragraph. But it's also kind of cool that it was named after him. So we might want to mention that too, because we can point that out in our paragraph.
Okay, finished underline.
Okay, good. So I'm going to ask you then in a minute, okay, Christian? I'm going to put, I like that part that's named after him. I'm going to put named after Pasteur. I don't know why I put a capital in there. You don't have to put that. Named after Pasteur. And it's a process he learned. It's a process in the 1860s. So let's put 1860s. Pasteurization is a process trying to figure out how to put that in the outline here because I have 4 words I want to use, but I can only use 3. So I'm going to put invented and then process. And then I'm going to put ST for studying and then germs. He invented this process after studying germs. Okay. Because I think all of that's important to mention. We got 3 more spots to talk about pasteurization. So after you finish writing that, Christian, maybe you can tell me something else you have underlined, and then I'll ask Harmony after you guys write that down. What else do you have underlined?
I have to put on a fancy dress tonight. Now I have to put on another one today.
Are you looking, Christian?
Oh, no. I think I underlined how many sentences. I only underlined parts of sentences.
That's okay. Tell me some facts from parts of sentences. That's okay. That's good.
So I underlined which is pasteurization, which is a way to help protect food from harmful bacteria.
Okay, we got that. We got that. What else did you underline?
He invented the process in the 1860s.
Got that. Okay.
Yeah,
Good. Those are good. You're doing good, Christian. What else do
he
you have?
saw that they multiplied in food and liquid, causing it to rot or spoil.
Yes. Okay. That's a
And
good one.
heating a liquid at high temperatures for a few minutes and cooling it, any other bacteria are killed. And thus, which is a very what's it called? It's what's it called? This was interesting word. That's why I
Yeah.
underlined thus by itself. Just
Yeah,
thus.
that's funny. It is an interesting word. We don't use thus very often, but it just means then, basically. But let's go back a little bit. I think you mentioned when he looked in the microscope, you guys know what those are, right? You use those in science. Have you ever used a microscope before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you used one, Harmony? Yeah. You look
We
through,
have a-
it makes everything large. It magnifies what you're looking at. So you might look at cells or
We had a microscope, and then I put something that was like kind of poisonous underneath it.
Mm.
I got it all over me
Oh, that's not good. Hopefully you got to wash it off.
and all
Okay.
over the stairs and
So-
all over the soap.
Oh no, that was not a good day, huh, Christian?
No.
Okay, let's go back to this. Observing bacteria under a microscope, he saw that they multiplied quickly in food and liquid, causing it to rot or spoil. So I think maybe how can we put that into 3 words, Christian? You got any ideas? We could abbreviate bacteria again. We abbreviated it up here, BAC. So we could use that again, bacteria, BAC, but how else can we put that on our outline? What do you think? Maybe we could draw eyeballs like he's observing. Let's do 2 eyeballs here. And then back for bacteria. These are eyeballs. You can put eyelashes on if that helps you. He looked at it through a microscope and it multiplied. In food. So maybe we could put multiplied food and spoil. Now remember, I'm going to just remind you guys, because sometimes our outlines are so good and they're so clear that we know exactly what we're talking about. But sometimes you might get to this one and go, bacteria multiplied food spoil. What? Just go back to the original article and find where it talks about that. You can find it in that paragraph because you labeled it pasteurization. That'll refresh your memory. Then you can use these words in a sentence and know what you're talking about. Okay.
I need to go get my pencil, which I accidentally threw across the room.
Okay. Go ahead and do that.
I got it.
How about when you're done, Harmony, go ahead and finish up that number. And then when you're finished, tell me what else you have underlined in that paragraph on page 80 or 81. There's a little bit more on 81.
Poster proved that by heating a liquid at high temperatures for a few minutes and then cooling it. Many of the bacteria of killed.
Good. I think that's a really important sentence. I like that one too. It's got a lot, though. It's got a lot of information in there. It's hard to know how to just find some key words. So I'm kind of thinking,
Heating a li- heating
yeah. Was the first word you said proved? Was that the word you said? And then heating?
is
Okay. Proved, heating, and then what else?
minutes.
Minutes, okay. Maybe we could draw something for liquid. Do you have an idea for that?
You draw the liquid.
Or milk? I guess we could draw a little milk carton. What do you
Yes.
think, Harmony? Yeah, you like that?
Yes.
Okay. So she said, I like it. Let's put that proved. And then you put heating. And then we'll just draw a little milk carton. You know, like the kind that you used to get in this cafeteria. It doesn't really look like a milk carton. I'm terrible at drawing. What can I say? But if you can draw it however you think it looks like, or a jug, you know, sometimes we buy the gallon.
I'm gonna draw a
Okay.
gallon.
That might be easier, the gallon jug. But that's representing milk. Okay. Milk. Mine looks like a little rocket. Do you know what I mean? As long as you know what it is. And then minutes, heating milk minutes. And then maybe we could put bacteria killed. Maybe we could do like, have you guys ever done this with the eyes? Like dead, that represents dead or killed. So maybe proved. So he proved, LP, Louis Pasteur proved that heating milk for a few minutes can kill bacteria. It does say cooling it again. So if you want to add that in your paper when you go to write, you can. And now we're down to number 5, and we kind of need to wrap up that paragraph. And I really like how it talks about how where that word thus is that Christian pointed out, thus, and then you go to the next page, 81, he's wrapping it up. He's saying it allowed people to keep dairy products, juices, wine, vinegar, and canned food much longer. So it allowed people to keep food longer, right? So I'm just going to put keep food longer. That was the whole point. Because food spoiled and then people got sick and died. So this guy was really important. He helped us to know how to keep food longer. Okay. Give me a thumbs up when you got that finished, and then we're going to get started on number 3. I don't know how far we're going to get because we're running out of time here, but got it, Christian?
Well, instead
Okay.
of starting number 3, we could end class early.
No, because we need to finish up this week because we need to start a new one next week. Sorry, nice try. All right, this last one, we're talking about vaccination. This is on page 81. He continued the development of vaccination, a way to fight diseases that might harm animals and people. So let's put his name again, LP. And then vaccination, that's an A. Fight diseases. I guess if you wanted to include animals and people, you could draw a little animal here. Like what? Like a cat, maybe? That's the tail. That's the head. That's okay. That's not too bad. A little cat and then a little person to help us remember it's not just people, it's also in animals. These are just little symbols that we're using to remind us, okay? It's done with a small dose of a virus. So that's what vaccinations are made of. So let's put that small dose virus. That's what they are. Now, if your question is, well, how do they get the virus into a solution? That's a great question, and I have no idea. But that's what they say is in vaccinations is a small dose of it. So you actually get a little bit sick, and then it's supposed your body's supposed to fight it off. And then you're supposedly not going to get it again. That's the point. I think that's the goal. So, okay. And it's in order to build immunity against the disease. I'm just going to help you with this next one. So because I know we're out of time here. Immunity. Have you heard that word immunity before? Have you guys heard that? Yeah, good. Okay. Maybe you studied about that at some point in your school, you'll learn about the human body and anatomy, right? And part of the wonderful thing about our bodies is that it has the ability to fight sicknesses by itself. It's crazy. That's what immunity is. So immunity, what was I going to say? Let's see. Against diseases. That's what's happening in our body. Our body is using the immunity to fight against diseases. Okay, I'm going to let you finish 3, 4, and 5 by yourself later. What I want you to do is look at what you underlined about the vaccination paragraph on page 81, and then pick some keywords and fill in the rest of your outline here. And then you're going to write paragraphs 2 and 3. And don't forget to use the checklist, okay? So Christian, you just have a couple of little things to fix on your first paragraph, so you can fix that when you turn in your next one, okay? You're gonna do paragraphs 2 from here using this and 3, and use your checklist. Make sure you use your checklist. All right, you guys, anybody have any questions about that? About your homework? Nope. Okie doke. Have a good one. See you guys next week.
Bye. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh yeah, have fun in Universal.
Thanks.
We'll see you when you get
Bye.
back.
Bye.
Bye. See you later.